Starting with some lateral breathing, we're inhaling through the nose, exhaling and contracting through the abdominals, pressing in through the ball. Inhale through the nose, exhale, pressing through the ball, elbows wide, shoulders down. And then from here, we start to add in a squat down and back, extending the arms forward as we sit down and back, standing up nice and tall, pulling the elbows wide. Ball comes back into heart center. Continuing our full breath pattern, grounding through the heels as we stand all the way up. Then staying in that lowered position, we add in an alternating calf raise, making sure we stay slow as we drop the heel down, arms staying extended out in front of you, shoulders relaxed down, spine is nice and neutral as we continue those calf raises. We rise the arms up overhead and then lower those arms back down. Heels can stay down or lifted if you want some extra spice. We're continuing those arms lifting and lowering, pressing in on the ball as the hands lower back down. Take it all the way up to a full stand and then rolling down through the spine. A little cat-cow-like movement through the spine, flexion to rise, and then pressure down on the ball as we lower. Full breaths here. We're going to take that ball and start to rise it back up the body, rolling the shoulders down and back once you've come to that lifted position. We're going to take the ball just off to the side for now. We'll come back to it a little later. Inhale the arms up. Exhale, round the spine down, taking it all the way out into our plank position, taking that tuck through the pelvis. Neck is staying long, keeping the head and spine all in alignment. Back of the head is pressing up to an imaginary wall. Keeping the shoulders right over top of the wrists, so you can be down on the forearms if that is a better option. We take the knees down, sit back into a nice quick little child's pose here, reaching those arms long. We'll tuck those toes back under and lift back up into our plank. From here, we're going to lift the hips up high, go into our downward dog, and then drop back down. Quick little wardrobe fix. And back into it. Hands plant, toes curl, hips lift. Back into that downward dog, chest presses towards those thighs, and then the shoulders rise back over top of those wrists or elbows. Hips come back in that lengthened position, opening up from those hip flexors. Pressing back, lengthening out through that posterior chain, and then we're going to take it into a little prance, doing our best not to rock our body from side to side as we find that prance out. Shoulders still staying nice and strong. Take rest when you need it. And then one more child's pose. Hips back to the heels. Arms stay extended out nice and long. Chest is dropping down between those thighs. From here, we're going to take our ball back into hand. It's going to go between the palms. Laying supine on your mat, heels pretty close to the glutes, knees bent. We're finding little roundings up of the spine, our articulated bridge, as we extend the arms up as we articulate. As we're articulating back down, we're going to pull those hands back in towards the chest with that ball intact. Good. Tucking from the pelvis, rounding each vertebra up one at a time, finding that reach up to the sky, and then rounding the spine down. We slowly pull those elbows back wide, bringing that ball back to heart center. Finding as much movement through the spine. If you have any bulging, herniated discs, osteoporosis, or osteopenia in the spine, we want to be hinging instead of that articulation. And really find what feels good for your spine. Keeping the shoulders down where you keep our weight all the way across those shoulder blades. We're going to take those arms to an overhead lift. The ball is rising overhead towards the ground and then lifting back up over top of the chest. Hips are staying in that elevated position the whole time. Keeping the core on, glutes engaged. Heels are staying planted down. And then we'll slowly start to articulate the spine all the way back down. From here, we're going to go ahead and take our elbows into a narrow position, still holding on to that ball. Elbows are just narrow here. We take a hinge bridge up, and then we'll take it into a march. The ball is going to pass behind each thigh as the legs march up. If this doesn't feel available, you can stay into that hinge bridge, lifting and lowering instead. Arms can be placed wherever you need to. As we find that march, we're doing our best not to allow our hips to dip down or wiggle from side to side, keeping them as still as possible, marching. We also want to make sure that we are making sure we're switching which direction we're going behind our thigh. Finishing up with our last few here. Going in the opposite direction now as we take the ball behind the thigh. And then we slowly pull the elbows back down, narrow row, elbow tap, and hips come all the way back down. Take that ball back behind those thighs, walk those balls up towards those heels. Taking a big stretch through that posterior chain to the hamstrings, and then we can roll the ball back down the thighs. We're going to take the hands behind the head, planting that upper body. Elbows are staying nice and wide. Ball goes behind the knees in that tabletop position. We're going to start to drift those knees from side to side. Inhaling over to one side. Exhaling to lift those knees back over top of the body. Inhale over. Exhale, lift, keeping that contraction through the hamstrings to keep that ball in place. We're working through the obliques here, trying to keep the shoulder blades down, only taking the twist as far as you can keep those shoulders down. Top hip can lift here, making sure we're feeling it in the obliques and not the back. Once you're finished that last one, take that ball back up behind the heels or wherever it needs to go for you. Stretch out those hamstrings. Ball goes back off to the side here. We're going to take those hands back behind the head. Elbows go nice and wide. Find those legs pulling up into tabletop as the spine imprints down. And then we're going to take it into our toe taps. While it says a toe tap, we don't want to actually lower the toe down to where we completely connect to the ground. We tend to lose some connection as we do that. So we're taking it just to a hover position or whatever your range is. And then using that exhale to pull the leg back up. Watch how the knees stay in that 90 degrees. If that alternating toe tap was a little easier for your body, we can take it into that double leg lower and lift as well. Might be a smaller range. That's more than okay. You're finding your connection into your core. Those deep abdominals. And then we'll find an upper contraction here, keeping that low back pressing down. We're going to take it into a single leg stretch, alternating legs as we do so. Elbows are still staying wide. If it's too much for your body to keep the head in that lifted position, you're more than welcome to stay in a lowered down. Once we're in that single leg, we take it into a double leg, and then we'll take it into our double leg lower and lift. Inhaling up. Exhaling to lower down. If it feels better to inhale down, exhale, lift, you can do that as well. Just making sure we're connecting into that breath. We're going to take those hands, pull those knees into the chest, give yourself a little hug and a little circle through the hips. Start to find your rock and roll of that spine all the way up, rolling like a ball. Finding that rounding through the spine. Roll on up, grab that ball, and lay it back down. We're going to take our spine up into that lifted hinge bridge. We're going to take that ball under that sacrum of the spine a little lower. I want it to come out the rear end just a little bit. Find that connection through the core. Pull that front of the hip bones closer up into the rib cage. Plant the rib cage down and then pull those legs up to tabletop. You're more than welcome to keep your arms flat or into that 90-degree. We're going to take the legs straight up and we're going to find our single leg lower and lift. Keeping those legs nice and long, squeezing through the quads to keep that activation and that lengthening. We're alternating legs. To make this a little spicier, instead of alternating, switching at the top, we're going to switch at the bottom or out to that 45. Keeps the abdominals working a little bit more, making sure we're not feeling this just in the hip flexors. And then we're going to take this into our scissor-like aspect, keeping the head, neck, and shoulders down because that tailbone is in that lifted position under that ball. Taking it into our helicopter now, we find our scissor, and then take those legs open out and away from each other, finding like our circle. Scissor, and then open out and around. Good. Scissor, and then open out and around. Good. If there's any popping or clicking happening in the hips here, we want to find a slight external rotation. Still keeping our pelvis nice and stable on that ball as much as that can be possible. Taking it slower, keeping it smaller if that is where your body needs to be today. And then legs go up, arms go up. We're going to find that double leg lower and lift. Inhale as we drop those legs down with a flex of the ankle, pointing through those toes as we exhale and lift back up. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. Flexing down, pointing up. Arms can stay up to the ceiling or to the sky. They can be in that 90 degrees that we just practiced, or they can come all the way down to give your body some support or stability. We're going to lower the feet down. Lift the hips up, take that ball out from that sacrum, and then slowly start to lower that spine all the way back down. From here, ball goes off to the side. We're going to work on that teaser. I'm doing it from the arms overhead, legs long. You can do it from a tabletop position and arms overhead. Once you're in that lifted position, we're going to take a side lying position. Ball's going to go in front of you. Hips are stacked, shoulders are stacked. We're down on the forearm. And your top leg is going to lift and lower. Bottom leg is just going to be in about 90 degrees. Keeping that bottom knee slightly in front of the torso to keep you a little more stable. Bringing that bottom knee in line with your torso if you want a little more challenge on keeping the hips stable. We're finding tiny little circles now through that top leg. We're adding in a press through the ball as we kick the leg forward, releasing as the leg sweeps back. Press down through that top arm and through the ball as we kick the leg forward, sweeping that leg back in line with the body. Keeping that press down through that bottom arm. Find an internal rotation of that top leg, and then we're going to find little internal pokes up. That heel is trying to lift higher than the toe is. From there, we can go ahead and lift up. We'll find a little mermaid stretch. Keeping those knees bent, we lift up and over towards your ankle side, and then we switch up and over to the other side. Still trying to keep the chest open. No rotation here. We're focusing on that lateral movement. Stretching through the rib cage. We can add in that twist open up to the sky. And then we're going to flip the legs around to the other side. Forearm is planted. Top hand is pressing down into the ball right in front of your chest. Bottom knee is bent 90 degrees. And then top leg is lifting and lowering. We're finding the press down through the ball as we lift the leg. And then releasing as that leg comes back down. That bottom rib cage is not lowering and lifting. We're trying to keep that bottom rib cage intact, engaged, and pulling strong. Taking it into circles through that top leg. Finding that glute engagement through the glute med. I almost get attacked by a blue jay here. And then we're going to take it into that sweep. Inhale the leg forward, press down into the ball. Exhale, sweep it back. Inhale forward, exhale back. Inhale forward, press down through the ball as we find that inhale forward, exhale, press back, and then that internal rotation to follow, finish off here. Heel is higher than the toe. Toe is slightly in front of the torso, and we're lifting and lowering. Finding small movements. We'll take it, lift up, and find that mermaid stretch. Lateral flexion, up and over. Both sides. Taking it into that rotation, opening the chest up if that feels available. And then from here, we're going to use that blueberry ball. It's going to go through that thoracic spine region. We want it to be between the shoulder blades roughly. Tailbone's going to be staying down. Heels are planted, knees are bent 90 degrees up to the sky. We're going to take the hands behind the head. We're going to find some extension over top of the ball. Trying to open up that thoracic spine, finding the extension there. And opening up the chest and collarbones as well. Elbows stay nice and wide. Head is just resting on the hands. We find a little inhale. As we take it back, exhale, contract, find a lift up. It's not coming into a full sit up, just a little activation and crunch through the spine. Inhale back, exhale, contract and up. From that contraction, we can take a little single leg, bend and extend, other leg staying anchored down, and switch legs. Finding that inhale back, exhale lift, and other leg. Bend and extend. We can stay in that extension and contraction if that feels better than lifting the legs. Taking into a little stretch here, keeping the tailbone anchored, reach the arms overhead, allowing the hands to drop as low as they can, maybe to the ground. Then you can also take those elbows nice and wide with the elbows and the hands trying to stay back down. Finding the stretch through the upper chest, arms. Keeping that extension through the thoracic spine going. From here, we start to round the spine all the way up. Coming up into a seated position. We can take that ball and just place it off to the side. Roll the spine all the way back down. We're just taking a nice little reconnect here. I like to take those knees open into a butterfly-like position. Heels are together, toes are together, bottoms of our feet are together. Knees are nice and wide. Hands are just resting on the pelvis or onto the rib cage, allowing those elbows to stay nice and wide. Feeling your breath here, finding that lateral breath. We want to inhale into the rib cage. Feel those ribs expand out through your sides. And then as you exhale, finding that deeper knitting or corset-like feeling of the ribs and the abdominals. Finding your connection back into your breath. Making sure those shoulders aren't rising up into the ears as we're breathing. Allowing those knees to start to release, opening wider. Relaxing through those hips. You can take the palms to face up. Maybe rest on top of the thighs. Or give a little pressure down if that's needed for your body today. We can take this into a figure four. Knees are coming up. One ankle crosses over the other. We can grab behind the thighs. Find a little rock side to side here. Sometimes we can find a deeper stretch off into one of the sides. We can pull over to that side and just hold there. We can press the knee away. Make sure it's not collapsing into the chest. We can reach that back leg up. Still keeping the press of the other knee away. Finding the stretch through the glute of the bent knee side. We'll lift those legs up, switch legs. Other ankle is crossing over the knee or shin, wherever we can get it to go. Keeping the leg lengthened, maybe bending into it, maybe pressing that opposite thigh away. Keeping the thighs away from the chest unless we're pulling them all the way in. Maybe a little rock side to side. Finding some greater rotation from the hip with a press open and away. Finding your sweet spot for this side. Once again, stretching into the piriformis of the side of the bent knee. We're going to untwist our body, take those heels out, reach those arms out nice and long, and find that upper contraction, finding that exhale as we round the spine all the way back up into a seated position. And roll those shoulders up and back. You are all done.